Welcome back. Now, the Durban International Film Festival will officially launch Isiphethu, Emerging Filmmakers Hub, industry program at this year's 39th edition. Isiphethu will form part of the festival and will be used as a platform to engage with industry experts through masterclasses, panel discussions and workshops. Hosted by the University of KZN, the festival will try and bridge the gap in the film industry in the province with the theme Leaving No Filmmaker Behind. The filmmakers will be assisted in how they can equip themselves in order to make it in the film industry. To tell us more, we are now joined from our Durban studios by Russell Hlongwane. Russell, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks, it's good to be with you.
Now, Russell, take us through the Isiphethu program and why you decided to incorporate it into the Durban International Film Festival.
Sure. So Isiphethu is supposed to engage with emerging filmmakers from KZN. It's free and open to the public, so we're hoping that our local filmmakers will exploit and make full value of that. I mean, we found that there are a number of funding instruments that support filmmakers to manifest and realize their films, but there was this sort of industry intelligence that we thought is missing in the industry. So this becomes a platform for local filmmakers to engage with African as well as international film professionals and experts to get wisdom and intelligence about the market at large and what are the mechanisms that keep the economy of film and cinema going. So the Isiphethu is supposed to address that kind of intelligence and knowledge gaps.
Now, Russell, what are some of the prevalent challenges that emerging filmmakers continue to face in our industry?
Sure. I mean, the one is forever funding. On the other hand, it's distribution. So once you've made your content, once you've made your film, how do you get it out there? And very much attached to that is how do you make revenue from it, not only in the South African market, but in the African and international market. So these are the gaps that we've sort of seen, and this has been reverberated and affirmed by research that's been conducted. There are many others, but I think these are sort of the three most glaring that we're trying to bridge.
Now, you've mentioned funding as one of the biggest challenges. Take us through the Emerging Black Filmmakers Fund that's been announced. How will filmmakers benefit from it?
Sure. So I don't want to spoil the surprise for that. So the DTI will have a special announcement where they will be presenting the criteria and the structure of the DTI Emerging Black Filmmakers Fund, and in there they will unpack and talk at length about how that could be accessed by local filmmakers.
Let's look at...
But of course, the title is quite self-explanatory. It is looking to support black filmmakers who would otherwise not have the means to produce and make films.
Let's look at the plight of black filmmakers a little bit more. In terms of what we're producing, are we on the right track as emerging black filmmakers?
Yes, I think we are. I think we are looking at the kind of narrative that black filmmakers are producing and working with sort of have a lot of texture. And I think they're starting to reflect the lives that we are familiar with, but at the same time adding a level of sophistication and aesthetic, if you will. But I think we're also working at different tiers. I mean, the established filmmakers are proposing narratives that are sort of global, if you will, and taking genres and subverting the notions and sort of the trappings of genres. Telenovela is also doing quite well in the country as well. So I think we're definitely on the right track. And the industry is only set to grow. Wait till we start to connect the African continent, you know, and that sort of, for me, is an exciting proposition.
Russell, we've seen how digitization as well as innovation has changed the landscape for many industries. How has it impacted or affected the film industry locally specifically?
In many ways, both positively and negatively. I think on the one hand, the digital revolution has allowed content makers and content creators and producers to find legs and feet for content to not just be limited to the geography or the territory in which you're in. On the other hand, of course, there's the sort of lack of revenue that, if not positioned properly in the digital space and as a content producer, you don't see the return on investment. But for me, I think I'm more interested in what happens between those two. Yeah, there's the positive and there's the negative, and I think filmmakers ought to be aware of the pros and cons of both and use those to suit and better themselves instead of saying this is the right way and that is the bad way. I think both has their pros and cons and should be used wisely to benefit our local industry.
Russell, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us and all the best with the program.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
That was Russell Hlongwane talking to us about Isiphethu Emerging Filmmakers Hub industry program, which will be launched at this year's Durban International Film Festival. Now, you're still watching